you're in Buffalo. You're one of the workers from Starbucks trying to organize. So tell me first, how did this come about? Was there things kind of that came before? We know we certainly know about the conditions at Amazon and other places, but when people think Starbucks, they kind of just think like, you know, overpriced coffee. Has there been issues at Starbucks that led workers to say, you know what, we need a seat at the table?
Um, One of the biggest issues has been just we've had workers here for working 3 or 4 years. I think we have one employee who's been here for about 7 years. Um, and the biggest issue has been that people continuously go to their store managers or they go to the district manager and talk to them about we have an outdated piece of equipment. We have an outdated oven. One of our stores recently had to do a couple of refunds because the oven was literally falling apart in people's products, and they give us outdated equipment. They give us uh, equipment that won't work. They give us all of this stuff, and then they understaff us, and they're still staffing us at pandemic levels. And we're expected to work at non-pandemic levels of we need to get coffee out in 5 minutes. We need to get frappuccino. We need to make 30 frappuccinos in 10 minutes or less. So we have a lot of employees who have been here for an extended period of time, and they are happy with their pay. They're happy with all this stuff. But then anytime that they're told we're Starbucks, we're a family, we can listen to you, we'll talk to you about anything. Every time that you go to talk to them, they give you a smile and a wave and then tell you, oh, we'll fix that. And then maybe you'll get like 1 or 2 new items for a little while that you're saying that you need to help clean the store or to keep up with the like sanitation levels. And then we run out of it, and then we ask them for more, and they say, well, sorry, we're in a shortage, we can't do that. So we're continuously given less than what we need and expected to exceed further than what we can. And when people have breakdowns on the floor, it's just you either get written up for it or you're told, oh, go take a 5-minute break, we care about you. But then you're still working the store with 3 people expected to deal with 50 customers in the next half hour.
Right. Yeah. I mean, no offense, I'm more of a Dunkin' guy, but the times I've gone into Starbucks, honestly, the lines are always crazy. I usually see like at the most maybe three people behind the counter. You got the cashier, but then like 2 people making drinks. We're just talking about in the store. That's not adding on like Uber Eats, Grubhub, all the food delivery services and apps. And honestly, it doesn't look particularly easy to me. I mean, I would blow my head off to be honest with you if I had to do that, because it's just like an assembly line. You don't get a break, even between. Like it's very similar to Amazon, how you're just picking and moving stuff over and over. But it's not like you get unless for some reason there's a little lull in the line. So honestly, times that by a pandemic, I mean, honestly, I would think that's tough just physically and mentally to be working that hard without more resources.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of employees have to take time off or try to take time off because they're overworked and we get paid $15.50 an hour, but that's because we're in New York. I have a friend out in Texas who's an employee of Starbucks, and they're going to get a raise to be a shift, and they're getting a generic raise, and they're only now going to be making $15 an hour. So the employment and the standards aren't the same across the board. We're not paid the same. And the biggest issue is just we never have enough people. We have every once in a while we'll have a good day where it's like, oh, we have 4 people on the floor, and then somebody calls out or somebody doesn't show up, and now you're back to 3 people, and you're still expected to work at that 4 to 5 person level. And Starbucks wants it to be Starbucks wants Starbucks to be a third place between your house and your work. They want you to be able to come there and relax and have your coffee. They want it to feel like a coffee house, but they also want to run it like it's a chain. So when you go to a coffee house, for example, Spot Coffee, it's a smaller chain, but it's more of a coffee house around Buffalo and Rochester. They were the first coffee house up here to unionize. And we have some of the same people who are running that campaign, working with the Starbucks group in Buffalo, and we're working with the same union, Workers United. And they started out being severely underpaid and not treated well. And eventually, once they were able to get unionized, they still have to deal with the smaller chain restaurant owner, but they're getting paid so much more and they're being treated so much better. But there's still more of a coffee shop, like the niche hipster coffee shop. So you only have a few people in there at a time. It's much more lax. You don't have mobile orders. You don't have people in lines out the door. But Starbucks is supposed to operate at like a McDonald's level or a Dunkin' Donuts level. We need to get everything out instantly, and we need to give everybody instant gratification. But also at the same time, they want us to have the niche laid backs feel that honestly we're not capable of doing, and we get yelled at for doing that. We recently had our district manager come through and tell everybody, oh, you're not allowed to put up handmade signs, or oh, we're going to take down some of the protector barriers because we think that it's scaring away the customers. So
they've basically been saying, we're not going to give you a choice to further protect yourself during a pandemic.
They're requiring all of us to wear masks, but they still took down a bunch of the shields. We have the protector shields at the we have the protective shields in front of the registers, and we have them where we hand off, but there used to be shields up around the entire area, but they took those down. So you still have people coming across next to one of the coffee machines and talking directly at us without a mask. And for example, I work at a smaller kiosk Starbucks, so we have plenty of people coming through, and it's in a larger building, so we have no control over whether or not people are actually vaccinated. And though we're in Western New York, which has one of the higher vaccination rates, it's still rough to see that even with the protection that we had, they're taking it away because they want to make it so that people feel like the pandemic isn't happening. And it's interesting because the message that Starbucks released today, I believe they released a message to Spectrum News. I don't know if it was publicly to all media outlets yet, but they said that we respect the rights of the workers, but we're a very pro-worker area. We're a pro-partner business. We want to work with our partners, and we don't see the need for a union. And we don't want to compare it to Amazon because, we're not trying to paint Olympics this. We're not trying to say we're as bad as Amazon. We understand that Amazon's working its employees much harder, and we're not forced to pee in a bottle. But also at the same time, we're still having mental fatigue from everything. We're still having people have mental breakdowns on the floor. And Starbucks goes out and tells people in the union committee and people trying to organize a union right now, we don't see the need for you to have a union. It's hard not to see that as being gaslit by your employer.
Right. And also, I mean, Starbucks, I don't know the numbers, but I would assume it's one of the bigger employers in the country. I mean, there's
8,000 stores across the U.S. and not a single one is unionized.
Right. So it's very similar to Amazon. Like you said, it might be different in terms of conditions, but the sheer volume of employees they have. So to then be told, oh, we don't think it's in your benefit to have a union. Well, the workers far exceed the managers, I would think. So, of course, it would be in your benefit. And it doesn't seem to me you guys are making like crazy demands. It seems to me you're asking a company that's extremely, extremely profitable to provide more resources, protect you. And they're basically trying to do what all these companies do, which is say, well, that would disrupt our wonderful one-on-one direct relationship.
And we know that Starbucks is a very PR focused company, which is why we're trying to we have demands and we're trying to be generic about it, not because we don't actually have demands, but because we know that Starbucks as a PR focused company is going to go out and play the nice guy role, and they'll get they will give everybody raises. They'll hire more people. They'll give out a couple more piece of equipment and give us more stock for different things. But also, we know that if they do that, they'll do it for a month, make sure that the union effort starts to falter. And then after that point, who's there to hold them accountable to continually help out the employees? So we have lots of demands. We have more demands than we're making public. And we have plenty of employee stories that, like, we all work at Starbucks because we liked Starbucks. We all work here because, we used to go there all the time and we enjoy it. Like, we all enjoy making $15 an hour because we're all college students. But also at the same time, we'd love to be able to make enough money that we could actually work 39 hours a week, because we're never going to be able to make 40. We want to be able to work 39 hours a week at Starbucks and be able to pay for college, that thing that has been part of the American dream and talked about forever. But you see that the minimum wage just faltered suddenly. And now if I work an entire year off of this, I can barely make $25,000 if I work 39 hours a week. And that's barely enough to be able to make rent every day.